My name is Rachel McBride, and I have a brother that's 2 years younger than me. His name is Ryan, and he has autism. I remember learning about it when I was little, and I'd ask my parents questions.
Well, you didn't ask questions when you were younger, but as you got older and were in school and your friends started noticing differences in him and asking questions, then you started to feel embarrassed and get upset, and it was, we had to explain to you exactly what was going on.
I don't think he really realized that it was that different. No, I don't think he asked a lot of questions. I think maybe more when we would discipline you differently than him. I think that was, you didn't think it was fair, but there was a reason for it, because, as much as we want to treat you as alike as we can, we can't.
I even remember what led up to me finding out. There was a character on a television show I was watching that had autism, and they reminded me of my brother. So I asked my mom, is this what Ryan has? And she said yes.
I was actually really impressed that you were able to pick up on the similarities between Ryan and Lily at such a young age. And I think being able to see someone else with the same issues, you became more compassionate and you were able to relate a little better to Ryan.
And she explained to me how he would always be different from everyone else, and that I would have to be helpful and considerate when it comes to him, however he may act.
Sometimes Ryan will freak out about some of the smaller things, but it's kind of fun in a way, because he thinks of very different things that are games and stuff, so that's fun.
You told me, I remember when we first started talking, and you told me that your brother had autism, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I met him, and he was really funny, and I don't remember the first time I met him, but I just remember noticing that he was different, but I didn't think of it oh my god, I just thought he was funny, and he said some derpy things, and I just remember, and you were like, oh my god, and it was funny. I just remember it being funny.
It's very challenging, but I don't know any different. It's something that, we've all as a family grown to accept, and we love him very much, and I couldn't imagine life any other way.
It's very difficult at times, and it's, I guess because he's not as severely autistic, it could be a lot worse. You hear stories and you see stories on TV about people with severe autism, how they can't even communicate. He can communicate, he functions, he can go down to Wawa and buy stuff. It's hard. You worry about him more than you probably would a normal kid. We worry about you, but we worry about him and what his life's going to become.
Well, it brings more concern for the future and the safety of the child. It adds stress, frustration, financial burden to the family.
Some days are better than others, but I realized if I did not have him as my brother, I would not be the person I am today.
I think that he probably has taught you patience and open-mindedness, and I also think that you probably wouldn't have as much as an interest in psychology if you had somebody else as a sibling.
Hold that thought.
I believe having Ryan as your brother has made you definitely a more caring, loving, compassionate young lady. If he wasn't your brother, or if he didn't have autism, you might have more friends, you might be a little more outgoing, but you wouldn't have the true friendships that you have now.
I think, Ryan, being your brother, you have different experiences and more knowledgeable experiences than other people. You're probably a little more mature and wiser in the way you handle things, especially with him, than you would with someone with if you had a sibling that didn't have special needs?
Well, I don't think we would have as much screaming and yelling at times if he wasn't that way. You know how he gets when sometimes he just, when he has he's in his mood and has his meltdown, you got to get away from him. But it would be, it's hard to say, because if he didn't have that, he could be different in another way, which could be worse. Who knows? I think if you look at it, we're lucky that he has it, and he can function, and well, it could be a lot worse, but I don't think, it's hard to say how life would be different if he didn't have it.
I think that you guys probably have like a different kind of relationship than most brothers and sisters, and you probably treat him more as like a caregiver more than like how like me and my siblings, like I kind of, like with my sister, I'm more like a caregiver, but with my brother, because he's closer to my age, it's different.
You get that he likes to be by himself. If you didn't always get that when you were younger.
Sometimes Ryan kind of like hides in his room, but when he does actually come out of his room from like his computer and stuff, we have a really fun time.
He's kind of looks like a cat. You think about it, cats, when they want to hang out, they'll come and hang out with you. Kind of like he does. It's kind of goofy that way, but he likes being by himself.
If you had a different sibling, then just my experience with you and coming over your house would be totally different.
I'd say I have become a very patient and understanding person, and I feel as though this has made me mature a lot faster than I would have if he were not my brother. This has also made me quite interested in psychology and how the mind works. What makes people act how they act, do what they do, why they say what they say, how they think. How some disorders affect their behavior and what it does to the brain or the body.
Well, there's a lot of different theories out there about how autism affects the brain, so it's difficult to say, but it has definitely affected him in all sorts of ways: learning, communication, coordination. The list goes on and on.
I know that it affects people's social behaviors, and I think that, I don't know if it doesn't affect, like, you can be any level of intelligence, but you might learn in a different way, and I think it might affect how your brain works, but just like in the sense that your brain is, like, it works differently than a neurotypical person.
It has always interested me, and I think it stemmed off from him. Having Ryan in my life made me more compassionate and made me want to work with kids more and be around them, entertain them. I have to watch my brother sometimes, and he may be a pain, but I always remind myself that he is what made me who I am.
He always gives, I always laugh whenever he's around because he says something really derpy or whatever, but he's definitely an interesting person. I'm definitely glad that I met him and that you're, he's your brother and that I know him.
I mean, we have a lot of good times with him. He's got a good sense of humor. He can be real silly and funny. And how often were you sitting around the dinner table laughing at just how goofy he is? But it's fun goofy. I mean, he's a lovable kid. He really is. He's very difficult at times, but overall, I mean, he's a lovable kid. We love him to death, just like you.
How would you say my relationship is with Ryan and how I treat him?
Well,
Be truthful.
This will go in the bloopers.